On a sunny day in early March 1921, Warren G. Harding took the oath to become the 29th President of the United States. He had won a landslide election by promising, quote, a return to normalcy. Our supreme task is the resumption of our onward normal way, he declared in his inaugural address. America's present need is not heroics, but healing. Not nostrums, but normalcy. Not revolution, but restoration. The nation, however, was still reeling from the shock of World War I. The explosion of racial violence and political repression in 1919, and a lingering Red Scare sparked by the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. More than 115,000 American soldiers had lost their lives in barely a year of fighting in Europe. Then, between 1918 and 1920, nearly 700,000 Americans died in a flu epidemic that hit nearly 20% of the American population. Waves of labor strikes, meanwhile, hit soon after the war. Anarchists and others sent more than 30 bombs through the mail in 1919. After wartime economic controls were ended, the economy tanked and national employment hit 20%. Farmers' bankruptcy rates skyrocketed. Harding could hardly deliver the peace that he promised, but his message nevertheless resonated among a populace racked by instability. The 1920s, of course, would be anything but normal. But the brief post-war recession was over by 1921, and the decade was marked by remarkable prosperity for most, but by no means all, Americans. This period so reshaped American life that it came to be called by many names: the New Era, the Jazz Age, the Prosperity Decade, and, most commonly, the Roaring Twenties. The mass production and consumption of automobiles, household appliances, film, and radio fueled a new economy and new standards of living. New mass entertainment introduced talking films and jazz, while sexual and social restraints loosened. At the same time, however, many Americans turned their back on political and economic reform, denounced America's shifting demographics, stifled immigration, and revived the Ku Klux Klan with millions of new members. On the other hand, many Americans fought harder than ever for equal rights, and cultural observers noted the appearance of the, quote, new woman and the new Negro. Old immigrant communities that predated new immigration quotas, meanwhile, clung to their cultures and their native faiths. The 1920s were a decade of conflict as well as prosperity, cultural tension as well as artistic achievement. They were not, however, what Harding had in mind when he promised Americans a return to normalcy in 1921.